Hey everyone, it's Ryan here. In today's video, I want to talk about some of the ways that I'm kind of more efficiently spending money to be able to save money while we're noticing things like inflation, also potential for a recession, all these sorts of economic factors that are making it harder to be able to keep money that you're making, especially if you're working like a full-time job or something like that. I know a lot of people are doing that. I know me personally, I'm also working a full-time job while working on investing in real estate. And so I figured I should talk about some of these things that I'm doing to save a lot more of the money that I make at my full-time job so I can continue to reinvest it. So one of the first things that I actually do, and I've started doing over the last year to save money and also save time, is doing actually Walmart grocery pickup. Now this is something a lot of people don't actually know about yet. Before I started my full-time job that I do right now, I actually worked as someone just doing DoorDash orders, delivery, because I thought it was really interesting to do, and I did it right when it started to become a big thing. I actually live close to a college campus, so I was able to make a lot of order deliveries to people, but I noticed the trend of this option like that, and I felt that Walmart grocery pickup was similar to that. Right now it's very, very low cost. It's free to actually have your items gotten for you, and you just go there, you actually place the order on your phone through their app, and it actually, when I started using it a couple months ago, maybe 6 months ago, you had to do it on the computer. You had to do it through their website. Their app interface was not very good yet, and they've started to get a lot better at it. They have the parking spots set aside for it, and it saved me a lot of time and a lot of money. I can look at my purchases every single time that I have a specific order of groceries that I pick up, and I can look at it more analytically when I'm away from the store and say, okay, do I actually need this item? And I can cut that thing out of my list if I actually don't need it. One of the other things I started doing also is I started tracking my spending using a tool called YNAB, You Need a Budget. It's a good way for me to tie together all my accounts. I know for me, one of the things I'll get into in a second here is actually a part of this, how I save money using YNAB. I do like to use credit cards to be able to get a return on some of my spending. I like to use different options of credit card churning as well to be able to get a higher return on my spending as well. So one of the biggest problems for me though when using a credit card is not seeing that those funds immediately leave my account like you would with a debit card. A lot of people are comfortable with using debit cards because it keeps them more in the know on what they're spending and when, because it hits much sooner. With a credit card, you're letting that statement balance essentially build up for a month and then you pay it off. Some people are uncomfortable with that. To me, I was very uncomfortable with it until I found a tool like You Need a Budget to be able to manually input my transactions whenever I do spend money to get an idea of what I actually do have on hand while accounting for those credit cards. I've used tools like some people may know Mint. I think it's owned by Intuit now, larger fintech company. But I tried using that in the past. It didn't seem to be as realistic as YNAB has been, and I've actually been using an older version of YNAB because I tried using the new version of it and I just don't like the way that the interface works. You're paying for this cloud portion of the platform, whereas I don't exactly need that. I just need to manually input my transactions, see them on my computer, and then also see them on my phone so I can say, okay, do I have the money to spend? So with all that talk about YNAB though, the one thing I like is tracking my credit cards. Another way that I've been able to cut down on my expenses is through credit card churning. Now this is something I've been doing for a couple of years. I started out using the card from Discover called the Discover It, and I did like that they had a $200 cashback entry bonus to using their cards. I used that just for gas payments back then. That was all I was comfortable with using it with. I was very adverse to debt. Did not really like debt, but it's one of those things where I didn't also see the advantages to using that kind of spending of using a credit card to be able to cover certain expenses and then getting that return on it, even if it is only at max 5% generally. It's still another option you can use. And so for me, I started out with the Discover, moved on to a couple of others, and now some of the main ones in my rotation are one from Chase, one from American Express, and I even use an Apple Card here and there just because they offer a pretty darn good percentage. Generally, Chase offers things like quarterly returns of 5% on certain quarterly options. Sometimes it's groceries, sometimes it's gas. And then it was a really awesome option for me with all the renovations that happened next door on the property. I ended up having to do a lot of shopping at Lowe's to get some of the items for fixing holes in walls, stuff like that. And so I ended up using Lowe's, they partner with American Express for their credit card, and that gave me an introduction. I can't guarantee that it influenced their decision on approving me for the Blue Cash Rewards card, but it's one of those things where I wanted to build a relationship with American Express because it is yet again another option for something I want to work with in the future when it comes to credit card churning. One thing I haven't gotten into yet, and I have heard that it's a pretty good option. A little bonus thing here is basically bank account rewards churning. Something people will do is, because while I'm still working a full-time job, I am receiving income through direct deposit. One thing that people do is they'll set up accounts with other banks, and basically every 90 days they'll change banks for direct deposit into a new bank. I just got in the mail the other day from Chase it's like a $200 bonus or something for opening a account with them. Now the problem with that right now, the hurdle I'm trying to work through is making sure all my bills are taken care of, because I do have things like the mortgage payment on the home that comes out every month from my main checking account. Everything else is kind of handled with credit cards, other than the utilities billing that I can't do with credit cards. So it's one of those things where it's all strategy. It's not a super high return, but you can make sometimes $1,000 or a couple thousand extra a year from doing things like that. And all it is that changes is strategy. You're still spending the same amount of money, you're just spending it in a different way. So one of the other things, the last thing that I use to actually save money during these times of a bit higher than usual inflation, trying to shield my funds, is I actually do have the unit next door rented out already. I bought the duplex with the goal in mind of trying to at least cover as much of my living expenses as possible, and the rent coming from the unit next door is actually $1,200. My mortgage payment is $951. I do cover the mortgage payment. It comes up a little bit short when accounting for insurance and taxes, but that could be a miscalculation on my end, because I'm pretty sure that my mortgage payment does already account for those things, but I set them aside just to be safe. It's that extra savings account, just to be sure that I have those things taken care of, because last thing I want to do is not have the funds for insurance or the taxes. Taxes are a big thing. So it's one of those things where I'm trying to pile as much money up as I can, working that full-time job, cutting back expenses, spending money more strategically so I can buy the next investment property. So it's just one of those things where I wanted to show all these different options of strategy that you can use. Hopefully one of these was valuable to you. I really thought the Walmart grocery pickup thing was a really cool option. It helped cut back. It's weird for me to go into a Walmart now, because I've maybe been into a Walmart physically maybe 3 times in the last 6 months, just because I always park outside and do a grocery pickup every month. And it has also cut back on my expenses for groceries. I think I spend maybe $50 to $70 every 2 weeks, or sometimes I can even stretch it a whole month on that when it comes to groceries. And I've even recommended it to family members too, and they've loved using it. I've never had any issues with it. I love eating eggs. And one of the biggest things for me was I always do a test to see if the eggs are broken when I pick them up. And I've only ever had, I think, 2 broken eggs out of the entire 6 months of using this. So hopefully one of these options is valuable to you. If you'd like, I can dive more deeply into one of those things, like tracking using YNAB, or how I structure my Walmart grocery pickups to save money, even credit card churning, something like that, manufactured spending, all those sorts of things. I do like using options like that. Feel free to let me know in the comments if you want more information on something like that, and I'd love to talk about it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.